Hello and welcome to The Real Deal, coming to you from the Al Arabiya English studios. This is your weekly bulletin, bringing you all the latest business news headlines and analysis from Saudi Arabia. Coming up, Saudi Arabia's merchandise trade surplus hits 26 billion riyals in September, boosted by a 21.7% rise in non-oil exports. We'll find out more about that and the continued effort to diversify away from oil dependence. As Aramco deploys Saudi Arabia's first quantum computer, some are asking what implications such computing power could have for cryptocurrencies. We'll be speaking to the CEO of Bitget. We find out more about the Quality of Life program, which aims to boost livability and innovation in the kingdom, making it a top destination for investment and talent. And animal lovers descend on the Saudi Pet Expo in Riyadh as the event's fourth edition highlights the kingdom's growing pet culture. Straight into our top story. Saudi Arabia's General Authority for Statistics has released its Q3 trade numbers, and these latest figures point to continued annualized growth in non-oil exports, underscoring the kingdom's ongoing diversification, as well as strengthening its international trade portfolio. Well, the kingdom's merchandise trade surplus surged to a 16-month high of 26 billion Saudi riyals in September, whilst total merchandise exports rose 14%. Well, oil's share of exports has now fallen to just over 68%. Well, China remains the kingdom's top trading partner, accounting for nearly 14.5% of total exports and supplying just over 28% of total imports. India and the United Arab Emirates are other key export markets. Well, let's get more now. We can speak to Jameel Ahmad, who is the global markets commentator. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Jameel. Always a pleasure having you on the program. As we know, Saudi Arabia has been making some pretty transformational efforts towards diversifying the economy away from oil dependency. And this week, we've seen some pretty impressive trade numbers. Can you tell us a bit more about the latest data?
Well, pleasure. So yes, you're correct that Saudi Arabia now for a number of years, like other countries in the Gulf as well, have been making strategic moves to diversify the economy away from oil reliance. And actually what we've seen this week is some very strong export numbers from Saudi Arabia. And this basically ties into the fact that Saudi Arabia economy continues to diversify away from oil and some of the legacy economics. And actually what we're also seeing is we spoke a few weeks ago, and actually for a number of weeks, about Saudi Arabia somewhat being shielded from some of the international economic risks, mainly trade tensions and trade tariffs that many economies are facing for the United States, where the GCC and Saudi Arabia particularly didn't face those tariffs. So I think that's also helped the exports, but the non-oil export growth from September 2024 compared to September 2025, we saw growth of just above 20%. And actually, some of the top trading partners include the likes of India, included the likes of China. Obviously, the United States is still in there as well. But you're seeing that Saudi Arabia is now taking more of a, let's say, a stance to impose itself on the international economy. And now you're seeing a lot more improved and enhanced trade with a number of huge trading partners. For example, India and China are going to be up there in a couple of years with the major economies in the world. And it seems that Saudi Arabia will continue to make such progress as we continue to conclude 2025 and head into 2026.
Okay, Jameel, everything you're saying ties in with a pretty impressive PMI reading we saw for early November, which showed strong non-oil private sector growth. Tell us a bit more about that PMI reading.
So it's important to take into account when it comes to PMIs, there's a magic number, which is 50. 50 separates growth from contraction. So you have any number below 50, it's a pessimistic reading that actually the sector is contracting. But in Saudi Arabia's case, the non-oil PMI that came out early in November was above 60. So it's actually substantial, and some would say dramatic growth. But for Saudi Arabia's case, it was the best private business conditions in roughly 10 years. So I think you're seeing a number of different themes and factors there tied together, from Saudi Arabia's improved tourism, the number of events that are taking place, Saudi Arabia becoming more of an international hub and so forth. And all of that is tied together to these impressive economic readings. You've got a number of think tanks and institutions that are continuously upgrading growth forecasts and their expectations of the Saudi Arabian economy. But that number there of above 60 for one PMI that would be somewhat envious if you compare it to what a number of developed and developing economies are facing with quite challenging business conditions in 2025.
Okay, and another number I wanted to talk to you about, Jameel, is the latest GDP reading for Q3. Just tell us, how did the Saudi economy perform in the third quarter?
So for the third quarter, compared to the previous third quarter of 2024, we saw growth of 5%. But if we compare Q2 and Q3, we had growth of just above 1.2%. So for Q2, on an annualized basis, we had 3.8%. Of course, at Q3, you've got an annualized growth of 5%. Again, that shows improved economic conditions over the previous quarter, firstly, but also ties into what we keep talking about with the likes of the World Bank, the other think tanks and institutions continuing to increase and enhance their growth projections for Saudi Arabia. And it seems like the economy will continue to improve in economic conditions concluding 2025. Also head into 2026. And what I would also point out here is that the growth that Saudi Arabia is showing, which is more than what has been expected, is supposed to lead the region, the GCC, for 2026, where the GCC is supposed to outpace the growth that is seen in other regions across the world for a number of different factors. But I think the continuous investment and the 2030 vision as we head closer towards that date is definitely helping the region as a whole.
Okay, so those are three pretty optimistic sets of numbers you've shared with us there to get us started today. Thank you very much indeed, Jameel Ahmad, Chief Analyst at GTC. Thanks for your time. Let's get a quick check of some of the other stories we're following for you now. The Public Investment Fund says it has sold a 3.3% stake in the Al Qura for Development and Construction Company, which is also known as Masar. Well, that sale raised 950 million riyals, which is about 250 million US dollars. Well, Masar is a major urban development company linked to several large infrastructure and real estate projects. Aramco Ventures is expanding its global footprint with a new office in Paris, where it will oversee European investments in AI. Well, according to the company's CEO, Mahdi Aladel, those investments in French and European companies are expected to total hundreds of millions of euros, driven by rising data center demand. In partnership with the Italian trade agency, the Saudi Ministry of Investment held the Saudi-Italian Investment and Business Forum in Riyadh last week. Front and center at the event were the Minister of Investment, Khaled Al-Faleh, and the Italian Minister for Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani. Well, more than 1,500 people took part, together with more than 600 Italian companies. And during the forum, some 22 investment agreements were signed between Saudi and Italian entities in sectors such as telecoms, IT, tourism, and healthcare. Now, in partnership with the global quantum computing firm Pascal, Aramco has deployed Saudi Arabia's first quantum computer. Well, the machine is designed for industrial applications, and its arrival places the kingdom firmly in the global quantum race. Well, some experts are raising questions about the implications of this kind of technology for cryptocurrencies and whether quantum systems could one day threaten the cryptographic signatures which underpin Bitcoin and other blockchain networks. We're going to turn our attention now to the company Bitget, a cryptocurrency exchange platform which offers spot trading, futures trading, and copy trading services. Well, Bitget seeks to make digital asset trading accessible and secure. We're going to speak now to Gracy Chen, who is the CEO of Bitget. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us, Gracy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and nice meeting you, Tom.
Now, the GCC is a well-established crypto hub, and I'm just wondering, where does Bitget fit into this puzzle, and what's the scale of your activities in Saudi Arabia?
So GCC, as you point out, is very strategically important for crypto industry, I would say, and it becoming more and more important. If you look at the whole Asia, if you want to name a few crypto hubs, I'm sure some cities or Emirates, like for example Dubai, will be one of the Asian crypto hubs. For example, I think honestly, personally, I would say probably Hong Kong, Singapore, and Dubai are the three major hubs in Asia, crypto hubs in Asia. And then in Saudi specifically, we are still talking to some regulators and see what we can do specifically over there. But I would say in terms of Middle East, generally, it's crypto regulators are relatively crypto friendly. We know Dubai has VARA, Abu Dhabi has like is that AGMI? What's the short name of them? But basically, all those regions have quite good and well understood regulation frameworks available for crypto companies, including crypto exchanges, to apply for. We also have an office in Middle East. So that's a region that we actually think are very strategically important.
Now, Gracy, one of the things that Bitget does is to pride itself on making digital asset trading secure. How do you do that, and how do you make the whole process secure for traders?
So after FTX collapse, security, user protection have been much more important than it was before. And we were one of the first batch of exchanges who started to issue proof reserve. That's one thing. We've also established protection fund before FTX collapse. So our protection fund is the second largest in our industry. And how protection fund works is that if any user experienced a hack, for example, or unstable system that they lost some money not due to their own activity, we will use the protection fund to compensate our users. Although protection fund is not used a lot at Bitget because we are relatively stable, etc., and we haven't faced any major hack in our history, but it was used before to compensate our users.
Now, Gracy, there's recently been a crypto investor survey carried out by your team, in fact, for Q3. And I'm just wondering, what does it tell us? And does it tell us, for example, that people are on the whole confident in crypto?
When we published that specific report, some key findings were statistically when we did some research or just some polls with our participants, seems that 66% of those participants plan to increase their allocations over the next 6 months. And also nearly half, specifically 49%, expected the next bull run to see Bitcoin peak between 150K to 200K.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask you a bit more about correlations between Bitcoin and the S&P 500 and so on. I'm just wondering, talking about America, what effect do you think the US President Donald Trump has had on the whole crypto universe these last, say, what has it been, 10 months since he took office?
I think it's very multifaceted. On one side, he is definitely pushing lots of crypto-friendly regulations in Hong Kong and in the US, and hence leading the world. For example, Genius Act, the Stablecoin Act in the US, it also kind of stimulates what we saw in Hong Kong, that they also passed a stablecoin bill, for example. But basically, Genius Act, Clarity Act, all these crypto-friendly regulation frameworks are only here because of the current administration in the US. If you look at the last administration and the previous SEC chairperson, Gary Gensler, for example, you will never see something like this. You will never see all those crypto-friendly regulations. So from that perspective, US is leading lots of innovations, and of course it's already one of the largest markets for cryptocurrency, and hence it will continue to be bigger and bigger in terms of dominating crypto regulation and just leading all those regulations. And then another thing is if you look at the financial perspective and the market perspective, Wall Street today has the biggest pricing power over cryptocurrencies price. And that's the major change that we see in this cycle, in this crypto cycle. Previously, before 2020, or even earlier, 2014, 2014, 2015, for example, probably the pricing power of Bitcoin is around miners, is around exchanges, is around all these crypto projects who started to issue their cryptocurrency. But today, this shift of pricing power from more crypto native industry to the Wall Street to the US is also a very big change. After SEC approved the Bitcoin spot ETF, we already foresee the whole shift around all these ETFs driving ETFs and also DATs, digital asset treasuries, such as MicroStrategy. Today it's rebranded to Strategy. But basically all these DATs and ETFs are the major inflow of money or of capital into crypto industry.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us and for telling us what I think a lot of people already knew, that this administration in Washington is indeed a crypto-friendly administration. Gracy Chen, CEO of Bitget, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
Now to some of the other stories from the past week. According to new research, Egyptian businesses are increasingly looking to Saudi Arabia as their next major growth destination. HSBC's new Networks of Capital report says that nearly 90% of Egyptian companies plan to significantly increase trade with the kingdom over the next 5 years. In particular, business leaders point to opportunities in tech, energy, and renewables. While a new Saudi-Egyptian investment agreement is also strengthening confidence and accelerating business ties. The Sand and Fun General Aviation Air Show, which was held in Riyadh last week, drew more than 150 industry exhibitors. 18 new investment agreements worth some 250 million riyals were also signed on the opening day. Well, as well as being aligned with Vision 2030 goals, the growing aviation sector is expected to result in a number of job opportunities. Well, with interactive zones and strong youth participation, the show underscores the kingdom's ambition to become a regional aviation hub and a magnet for innovation. Saudi Arabia's olive growing sector is seeing record growth. According to official numbers, national production has now surged past 350,000 tons. Well, olives are seen as a cornerstone of sustainable development and food security, making their cultivation align neatly with Vision 2030 goals. Well, the region of Al Juf, which borders Jordan, is Saudi Arabia's olive powerhouse, and it delivers 83% of national output. And Riyadh Metro has set a new global record, earning official recognition from the Guinness World of Records for the longest fully driverless train network in the world. Well, the network spans 176 kilometers, and the 6-line system, which includes 85 stations, operates entirely through advanced automated control rooms that ensure precision, safety, and efficiency. Now, Vision 2030 was first unveiled in April of 2016, and 2 years later, Saudi Arabia's Quality of Life program was launched. Well, the program has the goal of boosting livability, vibrancy, and innovation in cities across the kingdom, making it one of the most attractive and rewarding destinations for investment, talent, and collaboration in the world. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now by Salman Alkhattaf, who is the advisor to the CEO of Saudi Arabia's Quality of Life program. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Salman.
Thank you, Tom, for your great introduction.
Now, for people who don't know, what is the focus of the Quality of Life program?
Quality of Life program is inspired by Vision 2030, Saudi Vision 2030, to improve two aspects of living in Saudi, which are livability and lifestyle. In livability, we're talking about modernizing the urban infrastructure and basic services delivered in the city. From the other hand, we're talking about the lifestyle, which is expanding the access to sport, entertainment, culture, and tourism, and the economy of this experience, and engaging people toward these as well.
Okay, Salman, let's talk about how you're getting on. And there are a number of quality of life targets. Just tell us what's on track and what's not.
Actually, we have many KPIs and targets to be achieved. And I can confirm that most of them, the majority of them, were either achieved or exceeded the targets. However, we're talking about KPIs on operational level, on a strategic level, on economical level. And I believe, as we are here discussing on the Real Deal show, I think I would focus more on the economical aspect. So let's talk about the quality of life sector-linked economy, which contributed to the GDP of Saudi Arabia. In 2017, as baseline of this program, these sectors, the sport, entertainment, culture, and urban development the sectors, contributed to the GDP by $12.5 billion dollars. Today, we're talking about 19.9, almost 20 billions. So you can see the growth here. Also, the non-government investment would translate that into business language. In the baseline, we were $500 million. Today, the non-government investment reached 5.8 billions. So you can see how this is magnificent, how this is affecting the economy. On the other aspect, we have multiple KPIs toward the social aspect because we want to balance. We want this program is people-centric at the end. So we need to measure that as well.
Okay, Salman, I mean, just looking back to 2018 when the Quality of Life program was launched, I mean, in the past 7 years since it was launched, give us a sense of how you've seen the overall quality of life for people in Saudi Arabia evolving. What's been the evolution that you've noticed?
Actually, as you might know, Saudi Arabia has already built a robust infrastructure. And the capital of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, has been the center of business, center of decision making. So we've built on what we have. That's why you can see the development is going fast because we have the foundation. We needed to modernize some infrastructure here and there, but the basic infrastructure is already available and strong enough to carry our ambition. What we worked on mostly is the lifestyle economy, because some of these sectors were underdeveloped and needed the attention and focus from the government toward making the right policies toward them, making the business, the ease of doing business in these sectors, improving the people's skills in these sectors. So we have been working on that since 2018 until now. Now I can claim that we have completed building the ecosystems for each sector. For example, you can see in each sector there is a development fund that helps businesses to get the right funding for their projects if the banking system doesn't support that. Also, the right healthy and high-skilled talent are already available. We send people abroad, we give them a lot of training and education in these sectors. Also, the regulatory framework is completed now and ready for investment.
Okay, so essentially these cultural, entertainment, sports activities mean that life in Saudi Arabia is more enjoyable for everyone who lives there. And of course, beautifying the cities is going to mean more tourists will come and visit, because obviously it's a more attractive place to visit. Can you share any economic results or figures from the QL program that illustrate this point?
If we're talking about the job creation, for example, as one of our main measures to measure the transformation that's happening in quality of life, the job market or number of jobs were available for these sectors collectively in 2018 as a baseline of this program was 290,000 jobs. Today, we have reached 370,000 jobs. So you can see the big improvement in these numbers, and we aim to get more jobs supported by the tourism sector. We believe tourism sector is one of the biggest and largest job creators in the world. It creates like 10% of the job markets globally, and we aim to do the same here. So we are on that pathway as well.
Yeah, Salman, I actually just wanted to ask you, I mean, the majority of the population of Saudi Arabia is under the age of 35, and I'm wondering if that's relevant at all to your numbers there on the Quality of Life program.
Actually, that's a good question and a very good angle to look at. We believe that the offerings that we are promoting here in Quality of Life for engaging people in healthier lifestyle, practicing more sport, consuming more entertainment offerings, and get the taste of the deeply rooted in our culture when we presenting that is very important to succeed and have unique offerings among the globe. So having a youth or young population will help a lot in adapting these things, especially that the new generation looks for new trendy things, looks for a new experience rather than buying stuff or getting new properties. They look for experience, they want to make memories, and these are the core business of what we do here, letting the economy thrive among these sectors.
Now, with regards to housing, how much of a quality of life issue is affordability of housing? Because in Saudi Arabia, rental prices have gone up. There's a rental freeze in Riyadh. And I'm just wondering whether this issue of affordability is directly linked to quality of life, would you say?
As a measure, yes, we definitely measure that. And most of the indices that measures quality of life focuses on these things, such as does your city treated you well in terms of job opportunities, educational opportunities, or learning and growth, and providing you with the good solutions with affordable prices when it comes to housing. Yes, that's a very important aspect that we measure. But do we contribute directly to the housing issue? We don't do that because there is a special program in Vision 2030 focusing on the demand and supply and modernizing the market, using the best tools to balance the supply and demand. Maybe Riyadh was a special case because Riyadh has the highest pressure of people coming in, practicing their jobs or moving their businesses to Riyadh or investing new businesses in Saudi. So Riyadh has been the pressure point for housing. And I believe the leadership in Saudi already took care of that by new regulations toward fixing the current issues and setting a pathway for the economy to fix itself.
Okay, and of course, green space is another really important part of making a city feel livable and improving the quality of life for everyone there. What can you tell us about the changes to the green spaces in the major cities in Saudi?
Yeah, through our partnership with the government entities, we managed to plant more than 100 million trees among the program duration. 118,000 hectares being rehabilitated. Projects such as Green Riyadh, King Salman Park will really change the scene toward outdoor spaces. So yes, we invest on that along with other partners, and we believe this is crucial to the quality of life as well.
I want to ask you quickly about Join, which is one of the quality of life initiatives. My understanding is that Join is a gateway for global investors into the kingdom. Just tell us how it's going and what its significance is.
Yes, as we mentioned before, lifestyle economy is crucial, and we really believe that the sustainable development will never happen by government investment only. We believe in the third sector, the business sector and government working together towards sustainable development. Yes, Saudi Arabia has invested a lot from government aspect in these projects, setting the infrastructure, sometimes delivering the offering by itself, but this is not sustainable. And we believe the private sector should lead the business in people life, especially in lifestyle economy. So QL Joint Investment Initiative is about that, is about setting the scene and promote it to the global investment community to see the opportunities that's happening in Saudi Arabia, to see what are the actual reforms that happened on the regulatory frameworks, on the PPP models, on the partnerships that's happening cross-governmental or with the business as well. And you can see the numbers, as mentioned before. There is a lot of private sector investment happening in these sectors, and we believe and global community could also be part of that, as we are positioned in the middle of the globe. We believe we have the biggest market in the MENA region, and you can expand toward 400 million consumers if you work harder in this area, because we are approximate to the in the center of the MENA region, let's say.
Okay, Salman, lastly, I saw that the Quality of Life program was present at the Lisbon Web Summit. I wondered if you could just tell us about your participation there and what came out of it.
It's part of a joint investment initiative where we interact with the global business community. We are really focusing on digital transformation that's happening in Saudi Arabia. AI and new solutions are the future of investment, let's say, and will ease the people's lives and will be part of quality of life as well. So we believe that being there, talking about the opportunities in Saudi Arabia in terms of investment, in terms of moving your business, in terms of working or finding a job opportunities in Saudi, that's going to be beneficial for both parties. So we always want to be in the center of these kind of events.
Okay, Salman, so I think it's fair to say from everything you've told us that the quality of life in Saudi Arabia is on an upward trajectory according to all of your measures.
Across all measures, yes, we can prove that by numbers. Quality of life is strongly improving right now in Saudi Arabia. If you visit Saudi today and you visit next month, you will see some differences and big improvements. So yes, we are focusing on that, and the leadership wants that, and people wants that as well, and the business finds a lot of opportunities there. So yes, we are on the right track to develop the quality of life in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you're right, Salman. It's always changing, isn't it? Lots of changes underway right across Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Salman Alkhattaf, the advisor to the CEO of Saudi Arabia's Quality of Life program. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And finally, last week, animal lovers flocked to the Saudi Pet Expo 2025, which was held in Riyadh. Well, now in its fourth edition, the event, which brought together pet care brands, veterinarians, tech startups and breeders, is seen as a sign of the kingdom's fast-growing pet culture. Well, a crowd favourite this year, which was the International Cat Show, where owners showcased their felines for judges to assess their beauty, their breeding standards, and their overall health. So that was all happening in Riyadh last week. That's all we have time for. Thank you very much indeed for watching The Real Deal here on Al Arabiya English. Look forward to seeing you again next week.